Ladies and gentlemen, here we are again, Hudson County View, live at Uncut. I'm your host, your favorite Hellraiser, the guy raising hell with the fresh flavor, John Arhitis, and we got a lot to talk about as always, even with the election season behind us. So let's get right to it. First of all, yesterday we had the special committee of the New Jersey State Senate convening at the Hoboken Terminal where they talked about NJ Transit issues with the rail passengers and other commuters, and obviously they did not have a lot of good things to say. No surprise to you there, but we will get into that. And we also had a chance to speak with Senate President Steve Sweeney about the New Jersey State Democratic Committee chair fight. So that's something that I think everyone throughout, not just Hudson County, but really the state of New Jersey is interested in. That vote probably coming up before the end of the year, but certainly no later than January. And obviously that has big implications on 2021 and Governor Murphy's reelection. Now, with that said, we have plenty of local issues as well, and that one of those being the Jersey City Police Officers Benevolent Association came out against a measure that would limit off-duty details for officers. However, the Jersey City Council must have agreed because they ended up pulling that item from their agenda. So certainly that's something that we're going to want to talk to you about as well. And another thing is that Frank Raia, someone who was convicted of vote-by-mail fraud in Hoboken back on June 26th, was supposed to actually be in court just about now. It was going to be today, but it was postponed until Tuesday, so we're certainly going to want to enlighten you on that as well. And before we go any further, we're going to just hear a word from our sponsors.
It takes more than a state-of-the-art medical facility to make a great hospital. It takes a team of dedicated medical professionals. That's the Jersey City Medical Center, Hudson County's #1 hospital. Medical teams consisting of New Jersey's top doctors, Magnet Award-winning nurses, and accomplished hospital associates, all committed to your good health. That's what you have at the Jersey City Medical Center. Make Hudson County's #1 hospital your first choice. Visit us on the web at barnabashealth.org. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design, studio, and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers a quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center. Here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together.
Hudson County View live at Uncut, and I'm John Arhitis, and I'm joined with my colleague Mark Bucinich. Mark, always good to have you in here.
John, great to see you.
And Mark, it looked like you had your hands full. It looks like you had quite a bit to talk about regarding the NJ Senate Select Committee on New Jersey Transit. That's officially what they're calling it. I feel like that just happened overnight, but nevertheless, that's what we're calling it. Tell us what happened at the Hoboken Terminal last night and why this was a big event.
It was a big event for sure, John. The committee's made up. It was formed by State Senate President Steve Sweeney, and it includes 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans. One of those Democrats is State Senator Loretta Weinberg. And on the Republican side, Thomas Kane Jr., son or the former governor of New Jersey, going back to the 1980s already.
Sure.
And if you remember that. And
Vaguely, but continue.
so they convened this panel discussion right at Hoboken Terminal. It was a very well-attended event. Many commuters who were coming from the ferry or going towards the ferry, from the ferry to the train, a lot of passerby were listening, tuning in to hear what their everyday commuters had to say to the Senate President and to the committee. And predictably, many commuters have expressed their frustration that they've been experiencing a lot of train cancellations, bus delays. And so we had a chance to interview the Senate President to ask him for what does he hope with this committee, what does he hope to accomplish, what does the committee hope to accomplish. He said that the committee will even go so far as to subpoena transit executives to make sure that they get all the information that they need in order to get to the bottom of why New Jersey Transit seems to be fumbling at this point. And one of the things he told us early on, in fact, just before the event started, John, I interviewed him to find out exactly one of the aspects of this committee as far as its goals are concerned. He said, well, it's to identify a steady stream of annual funding. And he didn't elaborate on that, but then after the hearing, there was a media scrum, and then I had the opportunity to ask him, what type of, using the MTA in New York City as an example, where they just enacted congestion pricing to help raise funds and revenues for the city's MTA to pay for their capital plan. What would that type of annual funding stream look like? He said that they didn't know at this point that this was just the one hearing among many that they'll be hearing from commuters and transportation experts. And once they gather all that information, then they'll come up with a particular plan.
So essentially, he guaranteed that there'll be another stream, but we don't know where it's coming from.
No, not at this point. I mean, obviously, again, using New York City as an example, congestion pricing, obviously, I don't think you could enact congestion pricing statewide in New Jersey, or at least in a particular city like you can do in New York City. But he did not specify exactly what kind of funding stream would be available.
All right, so let's take a look at the clip for those of you that haven't had a chance to see it yet. Check out what the Senate President had to say right in the Biosquare City last night.
You said about as far as a funding stream, we saw across the river in New York, they've enacted congestion pricing so that the MTA could have more money for its capital plan. You said that you need to look for a stable funding stream for New Jersey, especially now with the budget over the next 5 years. What are you entertaining there?
We're open to ideas. We're going to be listening to people, and we're going to try to figure it out. We don't have anything today. This was the first hearing. So if I had the solutions to all these questions day one, what's the sense of doing the hearings? We just go ahead and fix things. What we're looking to do is we're going to be doing some more hearings, but this is not going to be a long, dragged-out process. We want to move quickly.
At Hoboken Train Hall, before the Senate Select Committee on New Jersey Transit started, Senate President Stephen Sweeney told us about some of the objectives of the committee.
Well, we're going to expect to hear that they're not happy, that it's not working, and they don't want to hear any more excuses of it's the legislature's fault, it's the administration's fault. People that are relying on mass transportation want to know one thing. Is my train going to be there when it's supposed to be? Is my bus going to be there on time? And am I getting to work or wherever I need to go? And again, they're tired of excuses and blaming. So the goal here is, one, we have to identify a reliable source of funding for New Jersey Transit, not just for today, but for the future. Because we require 5-year budgeting now for New Jersey Transit. And as we sit right now, the next 4 years, they're in a deficit. That doesn't mean you get better if you don't have the funding to run it properly. So again, this is fact-finding. We want to listen to, we want to give commuters an opportunity to, tell us how they feel, how it's impacted their lives. We're going to be talking to transportation experts. And at the end of the day, is the legislature working in a bipartisan process with the governor of the state of New Jersey to say, hey, listen, this is how we're going to fix it. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the game plan, and this is when it will be fixed.
Good Friend Self-Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self-Storage. Let us be your good friend.
Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights, your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments, carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-27.
Hudson County View live at Uncut. John Arhitis, Mark Bucinich. So, Mark, nicely done job, not just with the news story, but everyone could watch the NJ Transit hearing in its entirety thanks to your efforts on our Facebook page. So, looks good, sounds good, nicely done as always.
Yeah, I was able to plug into an audio board to make sure that the audio was crystal clear.
Yeah, excellent. So, people could, watch that whenever they want at their leisure. So not only were you able to pick up that NJ Transit story, which is obviously developing and we'll probably be talking about well through the end of the year into 2020, you also got this pretty interesting scoop here, at least contributed a significant portion to this scoop about Steve Sweeney picking his horse in the New Jersey State Democratic Committee race. Wow. So that's Leroy Jones. I don't know if I don't believe we were working together at this point, but Leroy Jones used to be in sync with the Bergen County, Essex County, and at the time Hudson County chair. That was when Vincent Prieto was still the chair, and he was also the Assembly Speaker.
Interesting.
And obviously times have changed quite a bit in just 3 years now.
Sure.
You obviously, Vincent Prieto is no longer a elected official. Mm-hmm. He's at the New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority, mm-hmm. and of course Amy DeGeese is the chair now. But the point is, Leroy Jones is running against John Curry, who's also the Passaic County chair, and Steve Sweeney, as you said, he said, I support Leroy Jones. I know him a long time. I think Leroy unites the party. Obviously, this divide has taken place during Chairman Curry's term, mm-hmm. and he also noted that he endorsed him last time, but it's time to bring the party together. So what do you think that says about the current state of the New Jersey Dems and what this means for Phil Murphy, who's supporting Curry?
Yes, that's right. The governor is supporting Phil Curry, and he actually, in your article that you just published earlier today, John, Governor Phil Murphy described this as an attack. I mean, so Steve Sweeney told me during the interview yesterday, listen, Democrats, we all fight, but he seemed to emphasize that while he emphasized that he supported Curry the first time around, he wanted to go with a new candidate this time because he said, and as you just repeated, that he feels that they need somebody new, that state Democratic chair, that is, there needs to be somebody there that can unite the party as a whole.
Yeah, sure. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, like I said at the beginning of this program, that vote will either take place next month or December. A lot of people are thinking it'll be before, or January, excuse me. A lot of people think it'll be before the end of the year. But regardless, that's going to be an interesting outcome. I mean, certainly with Sweeney supporting Jones, that's big implications for 2021. Obviously, Steve Sweeney was a guy that a lot of people thought were going to run for governor in 2017. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like most people, he ended up not running, and the governor now, Phil Murphy, ended up just running away with it.
Sure.
But in the event that Leroy Jones gets this ahead of redistricting, which is really a more critical issue in South Jersey than it is here in the North,
right.
That's big implications of potential challenge for Phil Murphy in 2021. Fair to say?
I think that's fair to say, John, indeed.
So other than that, I mean, what other read? I mean, I know you and the Senate President only spoke about this for a few moments, but I mean, any other read that you got from him on this as what's going to happen going forward for the state committee over in Trenton?
Well, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this all plays out, John. Obviously, there's different county chairs that are favoring the current Democratic chair, which is Curry. But some of the, right here in Hudson County, Hudson County Democratic Chair Amy DeGeese is supporting Curry. In fact, she referred to him as an important mentor to her.
Incredible mentor, yes.
Yeah, that's how she referred to him. But then at the same time, you have other county chairs I think it's Wyatt Earp in Ocean County. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's supporting Leroy Jones.
That's correct. And, a lot of people weren't expecting that. That was less than 24 hours after Leroy Jones formally announced his candidacy, and people have been expecting it since around this time last year, but he hasn't made it official until Tuesday. And a lot of people were thinking heading into this thing that Earp was going to go with Curry. Obviously, that's not the direction that he went with here, so that's a little bit of a swerve for Governor Murphy and John Curry, who, by the way, is also the chair of the Passaic County Dems. So this is going to be a long, hard fight by the looks of it now. Certainly, we're going to give you the latest, and we're going to keep you updated on who ends up taking over that post. Again, big implications for 2021.
John, isn't it interesting that this is happening? If I could just interrupt for a moment, isn't this interesting that it's happening on a state level? It kind of reflects what's happening on the national level with 18 Democrats running for presidential for president. In fact, just yesterday, former, or even early this morning, former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick just announced that he's running. And so it's interesting to see how this is playing out on both the national and state level.
I agree, Mark. I mean, obviously the Democrats need to find some unity heading into a presidential year. On that point, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Panepinto Properties, Jersey City. Shaping the workplace with state-of-the-art office space and an address your company desires. Building residences that define your home environment. Adjacent to all modes of transportation. On-site parking available. The right address, the right lease. 201-521-9000 or visit on the web at panepintoproperties.com. Panepinto Properties, building Jersey City for everyone.
Rama Jewelers, located in the Lyndhurst Shopping Center at 413 Valley Brook Avenue, Lyndhurst. Come for all your jeweler needs at Rama Jewelers, where you will find a fine selection of necklaces, earrings, rings, and bracelets. Choose from one of our complete sets, our many signature items, or find the perfect engagement ring. Come on down. That's Rama Jewelers at 413 Valley Brook Ave, Lyndhurst. Call 201-939-5784 or visit us online today.
All right, Hudson County View live at Uncut. John Arhitis joined with Mark Bucinich. So, Mark, we've been talking over a year now, I think. It's got to be at least 12 months about the fight between the Jersey City police unions and the Mayor Fulop administration, specifically about these off-duty details. Now, we know, and probably everybody that's going to see this knows, that there was a corruption probe in 2018, and 12 officers either pleaded guilty or were convicted of stealing time by getting paid, for work that they didn't actually perform. So it appears
including the former police chief, Phil Zaki.
That's right, Phil Zaki, of course, among those that was supposed to be doing work at Marriott Gardens, and obviously he wasn't. And it looks like that's a thing of the past, though. But nevertheless, we're still talking about the future of off-duty details in Jersey City. So there was an ordinance that was pretty interesting. It would have potentially made it so that flagmen in the majority of situations would be able to control traffic on construction sites. For example, if a sidewalk was being obstructed by equipment. Another example, if there was a one-way traffic where only one lane was open. And the only time that they'd be using police officers would be if the traffic signal was inoperable. So it's certainly not something that the police union was happy to hear about. And we're going to go to the POBA president, that's Carmine Disbrow, see what he had to say on this topic. The first reading by the City Council plan for this evening, and that would be updating the traffic manual. So tell me why this is a concern to you and your members.
Well, it's a concern for several reasons. Number one, we don't believe this traffic manual is adhering to state law, state regulations, DOT regulations. We also currently have a lawsuit, as you know, against the city in regards to the off-duty, the current off-duty ordinance, which we don't believe is being enforced. The way it's written. So the actual ordinance, the actual lawsuit, for the ordinance, both the city and the POBA sought summary judgment from the court, and that is going to be decided on December 13th. So the fact that they're even trying to pass this less than 5 weeks before that decision comes down, we believe it's just an attempt for them to to have insurance in case they lose the lawsuit to effectively remove the police officers out of the off-duty program.
So the traffic manual obviously has been part of city regulations for many decades, I would assume, a long time for sure. So what makes this different than the previous incarnation of what was on the books?
Well, number one, there is a traffic manual that is currently I think it was either done in 1985 or 1995. When they tried to pass this manual back in August, they did not provide the council with the old manual. Instead of doing strike-throughs, they basically just presented an entire new manual. And obviously the council people were able to see what was being changed. So we believe that that was done purposely to prevent them from seeing what was being changed. And we believe that part of this manual is definitely not adhering to state regulations, DOT regulations, specifically where they say flag people will be in certain areas where the state manual and state DOT says they cannot be. For instance, they're saying that flagmen could be in intersections as long as the traffic light is not overridden. And the state DOT regulations, as well as Title 39, says that only a police officer or a traffic officer can pull traffic through a signalized intersection. And flagmen are not recognized as traffic officers.
All right, so with that, ladies and gentlemen, you could see obviously the police union was firmly against this, and interestingly, the Jersey City Council seemed to be in agreement. Now, the way that this works in Jersey City, and I would imagine many other municipalities, but definitely in Jersey City, is that there's a traffic manual, and in this particular instance, it hasn't been updated since 1995, and it was about 60 pages long. Now, the newly introduced ordinance, which is a new traffic manual, was only 11 pages long, so Councilman at Large Daniel Rivera said, why don't we pull this thing? This needs further review, and that's what they did. So at the caucus, they pulled it, and it's TBD to be determined what's going to happen next. I mean, Mark, what do you think about all this?
Well, I know I won't be covering the council this evening because of that, John, but nonetheless, because they decided to pull it. But, obviously, the city's been pushing this particular ordinance. The city council, I think led by Ward C Councilman Richard Boggiano, said, listen, I think the police union needs to meet with traffic and engineering department to try to work this out and even get the public safety director, James Shea, involved.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it for now. So I don't know where this is going to go, but we will certainly tell you. Hang on 1 second. Our final break. We'll be right back.
Introducing the My JCMC app, powered by Practice Unite. The free My JCMC app puts the power of healthcare at your fingertips. Go to the concierge for access to referrals, scheduling, and appointments, see emergency room wait times, and get directions to Jersey City Medical Center health locations. Read the latest JCMC news through their social media feed, find a doctor, and more. The My JCMC app. We belong to you.
Hudson County View, live at Uncut. John Arhitis, Mark Bucinich. So, Mark, another story that has been lingering for a good part of this year, especially the second half of the year, really, is Frank Raia. Of course, he's a Politico. He's run for mayor. He's run for council at large, and he's also a developer from Hoboken. As I said, again, at the top of the show, he was convicted of vote-by-mail fraud in connection to the 2013 municipal elections when he was running at large. And we've been awaiting his sentencing ever since. And this week we found out that for the third time, his sentencing has been postponed. But it looks like Tuesday, 10 a.m. will be the day in front of Judge William J. Martini. He faces a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. So I seriously doubt that it's going to get delayed again, since this postponement was just a few days. So, anything to reflect, any notes, any predictions about how this thing's going to come to a close here?
Well, I guess Judgment Day has been, as you said, has been postponed until next week, John, and I'm assuming you'll be there to cover the trial?
Yeah, I mean, certainly this is something that we're going to cover, and really it's just a sentencing, so it should take no more than 15 minutes, but you never know. I mean, my guess, and it's just pure hypothetical. I don't have any inside horse on this one, but I would say probably 22 months is approximately what you're looking at, give or take a couple months. I don't know what the fine's going to be, but I think 5 years is out of the question. I also think 1 year is probably a little too light. I think they'll go somewhere in the middle, but there's only one way to find out, and it's obviously in the hands of Judge Martini. So this is an ongoing saga, Mark, and people in Hoboken have been talking about voter fraud for decades, and nothing's happened. People were frustrated, people are dismayed, people are disheartened, etc. We saw that one Board of Ed race a few years ago where 3 candidates backed by, at the time, Mayor Dawn Zimmer. They won on the machines and they lost because of those huge vote-by-mail tallies. Now, not to say that there was a crime committed, because we don't have any evidence of that, but those were the type of results that were, becoming frustrated to some people involved in Hoboken politics. And then we saw last Halloween, so just a little over a year ago, Frank Raia, along with D.O. Braxton, was indicted, and we saw how the conclusion happened with Raya's case. And we also have seen a couple people have pleaded guilty in conjunction to 2015. So it looks like U.S. Attorney Craig Carpenito is going to have his hands full for many months to come.
Any explanation why it was postponed, though, John? There was nothing forthcoming from the court?
Yeah, as far as the court filings show, there's nothing on this one, but the previous 2 was because, as you know, and probably again everybody tuning in knows, Frank Raia had filed a motion through counsel, of course, where he wanted a new trial. He said that the witnesses were not credible.
Matt Colicchio, Michael Holmes, and
Freddie Frazier.
Exactly.
And those of you that know Hoboken know that they were a big part of Raia's inner circle. They worked with him on numerous campaigns, and they all testified in court that he was the basically the guy spearheading all this vote-by-mail stuff, and he knew that wrongdoing was being committed right at his headquarters, and that was all the jury needed. So whether or not they were cooperating witnesses did not seem to make a difference to them. Nevertheless, Raia still, in a filing, protested. That didn't work out. The judge ruled against the new trial, which is pretty.
And Frank Raia's counsel, the gentleman, obviously well-known defense lawyer, Mr. Zagas, said that, well, one of the reasons why there needs to be a new trial is because those 3 witnesses that testified were involved in the same type of activity that Frank Raia was, so they weren't credible witnesses.
Yeah, basically what I said earlier, but yeah, I mean, in a couple more sentences, that's what it was. And again, the jury and the judge didn't seem particularly impressed with that logic. Obviously, the conviction by the jury of his peers is upheld, and the judge will not be overturning that. So we're going to see what we're going to see next week. What's really interesting is, what's going to happen in 2015, and I'm sure that there's already an investigation into 2017. Obviously, there's no indictments in connection to that mayoral contest, but the 2015 council races, the ward races from that year, again, already 2 guilty pleas. So it looks like there is a whole lot of more game to be played, so to speak, Mark.
That's very interesting, John. So so even after the sentencing, we expect it to come on Tuesday. Obviously, some more additional. The saga may continue.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to say that this is not the end. And, what's interesting, Mark, is, for example, after bid rig many years ago, then U.S. Attorney Chris Christie gave a press conference to speak after some of those cases were over, and it looked like, the whole thing had run its course, I should say. And, it would really be awesome if U.S. Attorney Craig Carpenito addressed the press after this one. I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about what his office thinks about vote-by-mail fraud. This is really a national issue in some ways. And people of Hoboken, again, have been speaking about this for decades, so obviously they can't discuss the particulars of any given case, but I'm sure people would love to get any kind of insight. So with that, just anything else from this week that we may have missed, Mark, that you wanted to just make a quick notation on?
Well, again, I think it'll be interesting to see when the next field hearing will be, a roundtable discussion regarding the New Jersey Senate Select Committee on New Jersey Transit. And, one thing I didn't mention during the first segment, John, is that Senate President Stephen Sweeney said that they will be gathering all this, they'll be conducting these on-site hearings, roundtable discussions, talking to more commuters and transportation experts, and they hope to have their findings before Governor Phil Murphy gives his budget address in the spring.
Very good, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate you every week. We will see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend.